guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and welcome back to another edition of Skylanders Showdown, the game show where we take a hypothetical matchup of two Skylanders and talk about why one would win out over the other. In today's episode, we have got Hoot versus Rubble Rouser. Thank you guys. I just want to put this in there. Once again, thank you guys for your support on this series. This is definitely one of my most editing intensive series that I make, so I really do appreciate your support. You're probably going to question a few of my upgrade choices in this video, but I promise I will justify it at the end of this video. But I've already done enough talking, so I'm just gonna stop talking and let the characters do all the work for you. For me. That's what I mean. Now, the first character we are going to start off with today is Hoot. So, for those of you who don't know, Hoot is, of course, a Magic Skylander and is a Swap Force character from the Swap Force game and is of the teleportation move type, which means he is very agile and can get around with relative ease and harass enemies. Now, Hoot's first ability is going to be called DEJABOOM, and by pressing the primary attack button, he can shoot out a little magical projectile, and it'll explode, and he can shoot many of these, and it's pretty much his main source of damage. His secondary ability is called Loop the Loop, and that allows him to teleport forward and damage nearby enemies. It is important to note, at the beginning, he can't aim it. That is a later upgrade, but you still get the idea of he can teleport around the battlefield. His third ability is called Hypnotism, and by pressing the third attack button, he will hypnotize enemies and slow their movement and attacks. It's not really that great for a one-on-one fight, but in a situation that requires crowd control, it's definitely useful. For his upgrades, his first important upgrade is called Trictia, and that just increases his armor, makes him a little bit harder to deal with, a little bit more resilient. His second important upgrade is FLASHBACK, which allows him to shoot bouncing DEJABOOM particles. Pretty nice. Of course, his top path is going to be better. It's going to allow him to channel magical beams. That's going to be really good for one-on-one situations. And his soul gem, which allows him to shoot two smaller DEJABOOM projectiles, is going to be incredibly impressive. Portable hole, also another important upgrade. That actually is what allows him to aim his teleportation. Definitely gives him a lot more control. You're going to want to go bottom path on the bottom half. That allows him to teleport back to where he was before. And of course, his soul gem is kind of important, which allows him to basically do a charged damage attack when teleporting. The next character we're going to be talking about, of course, is Rubble Rouser, and he is of the Earth element and the Dig movement type, and he is, of course, from the Swap Force game and is a Swap Force character. He's a melee character, but he can summon minions and do a couple of interesting things with his drill hammer, so he does have a little bit of diversity thrown in there for his attacks. His first ability, Hammer Swing, is of course his main source of damage. You just press the primary attack button and he swings his hammer on around, dealing damage to anything that's relatively close to him. Of course, he can also do a charge thing, although I believe that is of course a later upgrade. His second ability is Deep Dig. That allows him to dig into the ground, and when he comes out, he will damage enemies that are nearby. It's also important to note that he does not summon those miners by default, but he can later get that upgrade to summon the miners. His third ability is Tools of the Trade, and that allows him to actually smash enemies nearby with his hammer, sort of like an over-the-head attack. Later on, you can upgrade it to allow it to do like the drilling effect, but at first it's just a slam attack. Happy Hammering is a really important upgrade. That just allows him to do more damage with his hammer. Obviously, that's going to be a really good upgrade. You're going to want to go top path, and that's going to allow him to actually throw his hammer and get a little bit of distance attacks in. Obsidian Skin, his top path soul gem, incredibly important. That decreases damage taken, which is a little bit different than armor and just makes him so much more resilient. Miners is what actually allows him to summon the miners, and those can be really important versus a ranged character. Earthly Fortitude is also an important upgrade, allows him to actually increase his health, again, making him just much more resilient against attacks. Bottom path is probably going to be better for a one-on-one versus a ranged character, because that will actually allow you to summon 4 miners at the same time and chance against a ranged character. Okay, so now you've pretty much seen what upgrades I think are important for each character, sort of gotten refamiliarized with each character if you've kind of forgotten a little bit about them. So let's first talk about Hoot Loop and Hoot Loop's strengths and weaknesses. First up, Hoot Loop is fighting Rubble Rouser. Hoot Loop is a ranged character. Rubble Rouser is not a ranged character. He's a melee character. Obviously, Hoot Loop has that automatic advantage. He can just sit there going, pew, 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 and Rubble Rouser cannot get to him. But to make matters worse, the fact that Hoot Loop can actually teleport makes him a complete and total menace. Now, I know Hoot Loop, some of Hoot Loop's abilities allow him to do more damage with his teleports. We're not really trying to kill Rubble Rouser with teleports here if you're Hoot Loop. You're just trying to avoid Rubble Rouser, and you can definitely do that. And getting the bottom upgrade that allows him to actually teleport back and forth is going to be really, really, really important in actually, you know, fighting Rubble Rouser. Now, the tough decision I had was on the top path for Hoot Loop, because the top path, the top half, which path to take. Because on the top path for the top half, the first one allows you to, like, channel a beam. The bottom path allows you to, if I'm correct, what does the bottom path let you do? I just had it in my head. Oh yeah, it empowers your hypnotism. Hypnotism is pretty much useless because it doesn't do any damage. Yeah, maybe it's okay to maybe like disorient a group of characters that are like rushing at you, but in a one-on-one situation, it's really not that good. Now, I guess you could use the beam in a few situations, but really the most effective method for taking down Rubble Rouser would be to spam attack. Now, obviously, for Rubble Rouser has a decent health pool, and he's actually decently quick. He's not like Crusher, who, if Hoot Loop fought Crusher, Hoot Loop would basically run circles around Crusher. No, he's actually pretty agile. He would actually be able to, you know, sort of keep up with Hoot Loop, just sort of predict the teleports. You could do okay as Rubble Rouser trying to track Hoot Loop. Now, another thing that's going to really help Rubble Rouser is the fact that he's going to take decreased damage from DEJABOOM. That's a huge, huge advantage, and that is why that Obsidian skin upgrade is so, so important. One of the things that I think could help Rubble Rouser, you know, a lone melee character, sort of fight Hoot Loop would be the miners. And that's why I said go bottom path on the bottom half, because that allows you to actually, you know, get in there with the miners and sort of harass Hoot Loop a little bit more and maybe actually force him to use Hypnotize. Now, for the top half of Rubble Rouser, that was another difficult decision for the path that I would personally pick for Rubble Rouser. Now, here's the thing. With the hammer ability that allows him to shoot rocks in all directions with his hammer, you know, I don't really see the use in that versus Hoot Loop. Hoot Loop is going to be running all around, so it's going to be pretty much useless. The bottom path is going to be so much more useful in this situation because it allows him to throw the hammer. Yeah, it might be a slower attack, but at least you can deal a little bit of ranged damage and keep a ranged threat on Hoot Loop. And if you back him into a corner, you could potentially use that hammer, throw it one direction, and sort of like kind of help trap him in a corner, and, you know, maybe to the point where you could maybe allow your miners to do a little bit of work, stay on him while you're trying to track where he's going to teleport to. Either way, if you're Rubble Rouser, it's going to be a really hard fight for you, in my opinion, to win, but I personally think Hoot Loop would have that innate advantage because he's ranged. But luckily, I don't have to decide in this situation who would win. You guys get to decide who would win. So definitely leave a comment down below. Who do you think would win, Rubble Rouser or Hoot Loop? And more importantly, why do you think one would win out over the other? But that's enough of me talking. Let's actually look at the winner/loser from last episode. Wow, last episode was even more one-sided than the episode before it. It was, of course, Stink Bomb versus Free Ranger, and all of the votes were for Stink Bomb. You know, Free Ranger just got absolutely blown away by Stink Bomb. And I would attribute this mostly to the fact that, you know, Stink Bomb is stealthy and has range, whereas in order for Free Ranger to be effective, he really has to get in there, and he just does not have the mobility to keep up with, you know, Stink Bomb. So definitely a good decision there. I would have personally picked Stink Bomb to win. So really good decision there, guys. So that's pretty much all for this episode. Remember, like I said, please leave a comment down below on who you think should win in this video between Rubble Rouser and Hoot Loop. Stay tuned for the banishment of Free Ranger. But like I said, that's pretty much it. This has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye, birdie.